Clarity Clinical Solutions.
Who decides what is ethical in medical research? It started in 1947 with a war crimes trial, and today, one document guides the ethics of every clinical trial in the world. This is the Declaration of Helsinki. The Declaration of Helsinki is a set of ethical principles for medical research involving human subjects. It was first adopted in 1964 by the World Medical Association in Helsinki, Finland. It is not a law, but it has inspired laws in nearly every country. Before Helsinki, there was no global standard for ethical treatment of research participants. The declaration changed that forever. The story begins not in Helsinki, but in a courtroom in Nuremberg, Germany in 1947. 23 Nazi doctors were tried for war crimes for conducting horrific medical experiments on concentration camp prisoners without consent. The trial produced the Nuremberg Code, 10 principles, starting with, the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. This was the first step toward Helsinki. 17 years after Nuremberg, the World Medical Association met in Helsinki, Finland, to create a practical ethics code for physicians. The first declaration introduced key innovations. It distinguished therapeutic research that treats the patient from non-therapeutic pure science. It required independent review of protocols. And it introduced the concept of proxy consent for subjects who cannot consent for themselves. The Declaration's principles can be summarized into 3 core values from the Belmont Report. Respect for persons. Individuals must be treated as autonomous agents and informed consent is required. Beneficence. Research must maximize benefits and minimize harms. Justice. The benefits and burdens of research must be distributed fairly. No population should bear the risks unless they also share the benefits. Informed consent is the most emphasized principle in the Declaration. Subjects must be told the aims, methods, funding sources, conflicts of interest, anticipated benefits, and potential risks, all in understandable language. They must be informed of the right to refuse or withdraw at any time without reprisal. Special attention is required when the subject is in a dependent relationship with the physician. The Declaration explicitly states that the well-being of the individual subject takes priority over scientific or societal interests. If the risks outweigh the potential benefits, the study must not proceed. If new risks are discovered during the study, the protocol must be immediately suspended. Every research protocol must be reviewed by an independent ethics committee before the study begins. The Declaration was the first global document to explicitly address vulnerable populations. For children, research is only permissible if it is necessary for their health and cannot be conducted on adults. For cognitively impaired subjects, a legally authorized representative must give consent. The Declaration warns that prisoners need special protections due to their limited ability to give free consent. The Declaration has been revised 7 times. The 1975 Tokyo revision required independent review committees. The 1983 Venice revision strengthened protections for vulnerable subjects. The 2000 Edinburgh revision was controversial. It stated placebos should only be used when no proven treatment exists. And the 2013 Fortaleza revision added post-trial access provisions. Participants must have access to beneficial treatments after the trial ends. The 2000 placebo revision sparked a major ethical debate. The Declaration stated that if a proven treatment exists, the new drug should be tested against that treatment, not against a placebo. The FDA strongly disagreed and removed reference to the Declaration of Helsinki from its regulations in 2008, replacing it with ICH-GCP. The debate about when placebo controls are ethical continues today. Despite disagreements, the Declaration has inspired regulations worldwide. The EU Clinical Trials Directive directly references it. Japan's GCP regulations are based on its principles. And the international ICH-GCP guideline, used by over 50 countries, incorporates the Declaration by reference. It remains the most widely cited ethics document in medicine. There are several common misconceptions. First, it is not a legally binding treaty, it is a statement of ethical principles, though many countries have codified it into law. Second, it has been revised 7 times, not frozen in 1964. Third, its principles apply to all researchers, not just doctors. And fourth, it was not replaced by ICH GCP. GCP references the Declaration, which remains actively maintained by the WMA. The Declaration of Helsinki is not a museum piece. The WMA continues to review and update it. Current discussions include genetic data privacy, artificial intelligence in research, and global health equity. Every time you sign a consent form, every time an IRB reviews a protocol, every time a researcher weighs risks and benefits, you are applying the principles of Helsinki. So here is what we learned. Born from the horror of Nazi experiments, the Nuremberg Code declared that voluntary consent is absolutely essential. Adopted in 1964, the Declaration of Helsinki turned this into a practical ethics code for physicians worldwide. Updated 7 times, it continues to guide ethical research today. The Declaration of Helsinki is the moral compass that ensures medical progress never comes at the cost of human dignity.